Unreal, this is gonna be, like, easily the weakest my team will ever be. I mean, we have pretty bad... Well, okay, we have a couple good identities, but a lot of very unimpressive identities. Especially because our next team is gonna be the High Show. Hey, welcome back to more Limbus Company. I'm SlayerMathis, and last time we got a decent bit of the way through the murder on the Warp Express. Found out that our big antagonists are going to be the Bloodfiends. And this time, we will be continuing even further along. And also finishing everything up here. I'll have to end up using some Limbus, but whatever. It's fine. Nothing you have to worry about. See, I say that, but also Thumb or So is very good. Like okay, so there are some IDs that are like very, like, obviously it's kind of just the way things go, that you have things be a little bit imbalanced. But Thumb or So is, it's very high tier, but not like tippy top tier, which, like, that's fine. I'm always fine with it. Next car to Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, we'll be fine with Thumb or So. T-Corp Don's pretty solid. Vi Ishmael with multiple skill slots is incredibly good, but just with one skill slot, it's solid. Everything else, yeah. I know I've mentioned it before, but it still is so satisfying to just watch enemies explode. And I kind of wish that our sinners exploded if they got dealt enough damage, but they kind of just don't. Ah well. 'Tis a shame. We got a box that we can afford to use. For as long as there's one story with no combat node, we'll be fine. Still pretty easy, although, well, okay, it is still fairly easy, but I'd say we're starting to get to the point where some of the generic fights actually can be a little bit on the tricky side. Something caught my attention at the corner of my eye after another round of brute combat. What's this now? One of the final car adjacent to the freight car when he discovered that odd box with the T-Corp logo on it. This is the emblem of T-Corp! Here's the wall covering it was in the fiercest of our battle with Bloodfiend. And the chief executive guy, Herbert, right? Did y'all finally mention something about partnering with other wings? Yes, they're in cahoots with W Corp too. Such collaborations are not limited to T-Corp. It's often the case that a wing may work with one another. It is only on rare occasions that they urgently request the assistance of less significant, lesser-known corporations such as our own Limbus Company. Their choice appears to be quite regular. Sounds like W Corp's heyday are long behind them. It's like this wall is falling apart, but we don't know what's behind. Oh, speaking of falling apart, this room sure got messed up, huh? It's difficult for me to ignore how Roger hardly swerved her different subjects as though she'd made a mistake. Even the tone of her voice shifted like she was catching herself. The various short prosthetic parts covering human remains indicate that this train car was boarded by several prosthetic-equipped fixers. I can't think about that right now. Let's do the task at hand first. You know, those people from the same office as the guy we met on the platform, remember? Said he was warped over to T-Corp on an expedition. Look, it's almost like they're all wearing standardized sets of prosthetics. Same make, same model, everything. I believe I've read articles stating that offices do exclusively hire fixers with prosthetics. We were walking through the bloody train car when we suddenly heard Sinclair's voice crack as though he saw something awful. Fi! He is the one we encountered on the platform! The fixer suddenly started venting at us. So then we're going to T-Corp on an expedition failing. We brought a whole train car full of fixers in this contract. It's an exaggerating by calling an expedition. There were over a dozen broken arms strewn about. They must have quite valiantly by replacing their broken arms with backup arms perchance. Quite the strategy! That's not to explain all this broke prosthetic arms and legs in this car. So you can imagine this likely an aftermath of a battle between the fixers and the blood bags. There are many similar cases during the war. This is prosthetic and simply let their bodies be destroyed in battle because they consider them to be disposable as long as their wallets will permit. Of course, the blatant lack of self-preservation will often lead them to inherit the graves. Maybe that's true. There are multiple possible interpretations depending on one's perspective, despite the fact that there is but one single scene. I remember both of your inputs. It's a good attitude. Those with attitudes like yours often make it to the end of the war. Yes, well, good for them. Faust answers Otis in an uncharacteristically snappy manner. Signs of fatigue were creeping into her pensive expression. "You right, Faust?" It was rare to see any actual expression from her. I was starting to get worried. "I am physically unharmed, yet... yes, I am alright. If I do not enjoy the circumstance in which we find ourselves, it is though as I am casting nets to nowhere while lost and isolated in a blind sea. I could usually complete these deductions within moments after establishing a few basic cross-references between the accessible information." Her voice was such a whisper for the second part of the sentence that even I could barely hear what she was saying. "I know what you mean. Feeling like you're completely lost, obsessively casting net after net over the black, worthless lake in desperate hopes of that one of them might find something we could eat. I can tell where we are. No way to tell if there's anything to eat under that glass water surface. We have some straws, you know? The sense I find mired in is not unlike your own. It's like lying my back over an unseen grave. The reflection of radiance upon my eyes and the sanguine scent hanging from the tip of my olfactory tells that me not of the forging path." The Ishmael and Yi song picked up on the first part of her sentence, however. They walked through and shared a few words of consolation. "By the way, I don't recall you ever talking like that, Faust. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's something different about you today somehow. That is... I don't hate it. I'm actually glad that you got a softer side. This unseen side of yours. It is unfamiliar yet quite fresh. Is that so?" Faust's reply was curt. She closed her eyes. This was the information provided by the pamphlet at the platform. It is likely that this train is composed of 12 passenger cars and 1 freight car. It is wherein they left the car at the moment. That leaves a single car between us and the freight car in which Mephistopheles is secured. Which means that there's a high likelihood that we will soon encounter the Bloodfiend responsible for the creation of the blood bags aboard this train. Just beyond that door. Our bus is going to be photos of this week. Practically smashed it the whole entire war, no problem. And for a more accurate interpretation, we'd say that being capable of commanding a force as large as the blood bags we've defeated should be considered a high-risk entity. Although it is not common knowledge, there's a subcategory of fiction called Bloodfiend hunters who specialize in, yes, hunting Bloodfiends. Assuming that information is true, can be inferred that Bloodfiends are difficult foes that require a certain expertise to beat. And now I'm thinking about it, if bloodbags are like mindless thralls to Bloodfiends, then they're kind of like the private army, right? Being of power can create a force of their own without concern for lowered morale or desertion. Wartime or not, they'll always make formidable foes. As soon as they exchange various opinions with another, possible strategies, estimations of Bloodfiend's strength, and all of a sudden, fire on this incisive idleness! I'll crush to defeat the villain who hath brought such pain and misery upon this train, is it not? It may be vigorously the lifeblood of the innocent as we speak. Mighty or feeble, I cannot! I swear upon mine honor that I shall smite this foe, and let my hand of justice be the judge of that fate. Let us hasten now! Don Quixote's sudden outburst immediately put a stop to the chatter. She's not wrong. Besides, we have to deal with the Bloodfiend to complete her contract. Then I opened the door leading to the final car of this train. Stomp, stomp, stomp. We keep go- oh, okay, never mind, I don't have to deal with any of that. The one who lords. And we just keep moving on. This room. What is with the look on thy faces? Thou standest in the audience of the prince! Where thy you fucking hell is that word? Obsequious smiles! Must be the Bloodfiend who caused this outbreak. Here's our target. Fall to thy knees and grovel before royalty! We're gonna make those demands. I shall impart this upon thee only once, so listen well. Thou mayest address me as Prince Cassidy, the 6th kindred, or kindred of the 6th generation, the rightful prince in refuge from his family. Art thou the villain who hath brought such destruction and massacre upon this vessel? Thou art a chatty one, so rudely before your prince, yet I am feeling generous, for I am quite sated at the moment. As thou must have seen on thy journey here, this place is a hall of banquet for a feast most majestic. No matter how many blood bags I create, no matter how much I devour them, the humans just won't stop coming. I only enjoy what was cast into my maw. He dons a mask for the purpose of merrymaking. We're going to explain pleasantries, won't take their mask off. I'm familiar with basic etiquette. Oh, this mask won't come off, can't take it off, shouldn't take it off. There is no prince without the mask. We're so ugly behind the mask, so we all decided to hide how repulsive we've become. But once I've drunk your blood full, then it'll all go back to how it used to be. Only then can I unmask myself. Who stitched that mask into your face skin? Not a half bad job. Of course it's excellent! Ha-ha! Because this mask was crafted by none other than the great and eminent barber, whose name I dare not even speak, but it hurts so much! No, I'm smiling. Look how hard I'm smiling and laughing! Yes, I am the prince! That's what I am! So bloody alone, innit? Alright, done with the giggles then. Ready for the beating of your life? I enjoy things like you and your friends. Don't cry, bawling and bowing, sniveling on the ground for your lives. Lunge at me instead. The aggression, the boiling blood. Oh, how I love the fire. Well, you're daft. Look around, there's 13 of us and only one of you. Don't let your darn guard down, Heathcliff. Students managed to turn countless passengers down the street to his blood bags. I let my guard down, but blessed, so many blood bags we can't even keep count, did we? Couldn't even keep count. Oh, no. But the count is so important. I have to keep count of our visitors. Oh, yes, of course. I do remember to keep count of our dearest visitors. Yes, sir, I do. You have no idea how powerful I am, and I shall not relinquish my throne to thee from this budding kingdom. All I have to do here is sit and do nothing, and the blood bags present themselves before me. There's no paradise like this out there. You have no idea what I did to create this place. Oh, how elated my forefather kindreds would be to return here to be to witness what I have created, this cornucopia of abundance, this pleasure, oh, this freedom. But the kingdom is mine. I made it. I'm not giving it away. Nope. It's rather curious. This Bloodfiend only leaves his car only on rare occasions. We've seen signs of his insidious influence through every car we have entered so far. Then what do you mean by how blood bags present themselves? Form has to be. Hold on a minute! Ah! A figure suddenly and frantically charged its car. It was Sasha, the fixer we ran into on one of their earlier cars. Cassidy shrinks to his throne at the sunburst, terror apparent on his face. It is thee! By the... Hast thou truly journeyed here to assist us in our quest? Lo! That villain is the Bloodfiend responsible for the tragedies that have transpired aboard this train! Help us slay that car, and eventually lead the passengers thou hast protected us thus far out of the train. Bloodfiends. What if there was more than a single Bloodfiend on board, one still capable of crashing the fog? Damn, you actually made it all the way back, eh? I guess the wings don't give out contracts to just anyone. I used to fight to my enemies too. That was the last one standing. What are you talking about? But where did that leave me? In the end, I stood alone with nothing but a single one of these four arms left. Kind of funny how perspective on life can just completely flip when you're really in the shit. Think my last thoughts were, man, I don't want to die. So I fell on my knees and prayed. Told him that. Don't you have to watch out. I'd do anything to live. Blood rapidly crystallized on Sasha like a suit of armor. She swung her greatsword at the sinners, striking them even before Faust finished her sentence. What did I say? I commanded you to give me a warning before jumping in like that! Don't you know how loud your stupid arms are? I thought the family had come for me. And sorry, Lord Cassidy. Allow me to introduce my kindred to thee. To be the first of many since my escape, for the kingdom I intend to build. My kindred, my loyal squire, who should be at my side as I build a dynasty of my own, my family! Oh, Cassidy, I intend to be certainly more powerful bunch of descendants cars you have planned me, but even if Marco all weaklings, I present for you the script of the first class car. Kindred. Are you even aware of the exact nature of kindred? Nah, I tell you this. I accept my lord's blunt event while I was reborn. See, Bloodfiend's kindred is like a sub-entity of the Bloodfiend, a similar concept to sub-entities created by distortions or abnormalities. It must have been desperation that drove you to accept the purpose without hesitation, despite the lack of relevant information. Maybe. It's, well, I thought, what's going to my head before I killed kindred? That's been a cause with the villain all this time, as his lackey! Even ere then, when he first laid eyes upon thee. Hey, you have no idea how much freaked out when you asked me something about red eyes. That won't matter if he did, so I guess, my eyes was pathetic. Then, the passengers were under thy protection. Haven't I told you that the count matters? The longer the line, the better! Dozens of blood bags began shamming through behind Sasha. A smaller one among them stood out to me. My mind immediately snapped at the child who grabbed Don Quixote's coattails. I knew the passengers were dead the moment we realized Sasha was a Bloodfiend. But this, I really hoped I wouldn't have to face this reality. Not like this. There was a child. I don't want to be a face once you grew up. I think you will, though. Dealing good through the living as a blood back is way better than drudgery than that. Life will fix it. Leave beyond that. Hold thy vile tongue. Dream of become a famous back to fix it. Natural justice. It's all Steve the plot, you know, ends up crushing disappointment. Not really the grave. Silence! Silence! Don Quixote did not get Sasha the time to finish her sentence. She started charging full speed at her with her lance drawn. I think this is the boss fight? Which would mean that we actually have a couple of story chapters. Yep. So these passengers, they start off with about half health. Pretty weak, honestly. Like, this fight, it's a decent bit of time to just ramp up. Which, like, I'm not complaining about. Always fine with having the time to ramp up. Wow, what terrible luck. What was that? What was it? Like 5 out of 6 coins all flip tails. And all we needed is a single one to hit heads. Something along those lines. I don't know exactly. Also, I still haven't actually found out for myself if things with outstanding have a higher than 50% chance to roll heads. Because I would assume they do. But I just don't know for absolute certain, so I don't want to, you know, say for absolute certain if that's the case. It may not be. I would hate to give away misinformation. Me when I lie. I don't think I've actually done... No, I've definitely have before, but usually I've amended it afterwards. Usually. Pretty sure. But no, I've definitely been wrong about some of the information I've given. Most in Claire, it's not great. Skill 1 is very bad for flashing, but it can do some solid damage at the very least. Just because it is a 4-coin skill. 4-coin skill 1 is quite impressive, in fairness. So, like, I don't know exactly what the math works out to for, like, how many, like, the coin power, or the coin amounts to, you know, how much you would actually want to have skills power be. Generally speaking, more coin means more damage because it's more attacks, especially if you're on a, you know, on an enemy that is weak. It's more instances of damage being multiplied. So, for example, on here we're getting, what, about maybe 1.5 times damage, something like that, 4 times. Sasha, Jesus, he has a lot of traits, but is actually a Bloodfiend. The others are blood bags. Makes no difference. Generally speaking, the tags don't actually mean anything, but it is nice just to kind of get some general... Calling it lore sounds incorrect, but that's effectively what it is. And I definitely didn't do things in the right order. Ah, well. Yeah, Sasha can be a little bit on the tricky side. She does have a decent bit of... Like, she kind of snowballs a little bit with her skill slots. Being a boss character. Not a ton. It's not to the point where, like, you're actually too terribly worried about her. But Sasha can be a little bit on the trickier side of sub-bosses, unfocused bosses, whatever you want to call them. But we do get... Well, okay. I was about to say we have the... Ow. Ow. We have the Clash Down Tremor, but that doesn't really matter right now because, you know, we got staggered. We'll go percussive maintenance and then 25, 33, so we have a better chance to kill there. It's a bad time for them to use a counter. Pop. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Sasha is honestly kind of difficult in Mirror Dungeon. Bloodfiends in general, the blood bags here are actually in general a bit on the trickier side, mainly for solos because they do inflict quite a bit of bleed. Okay, we can honestly just go all out on offense. We'll be able to finish her off before she gets the chance to attack. Unbelievable! My first kindred to be created without their authorization is this babbling fool! I pray for your forgiveness, my parent. Be gone from my sight! At least thou hast brought me blood plagues for sustenance. This will be the responsibility of a parent to keep the best of his child! Low shit. That Cassidy reached up to the pile of blood bags on the ground and... Oh, what abundance! I had nearly forgotten this sensation! Armor-hardened blood materialized over the Bloodfiend's body. The sheer aggression and hatred was palpable enough to make her skin crawl. It appears as though he uses the power and stuff by reaping their blood. Though my power is yet to fully return, this magnificent armor is quite befitting of a parade for the prince who has become a king! Wouldst thou agree? Yes, sir, you do, of course you do! Challenge me now, rebels! Challenge thy king! We got Cassidy, who has absolutely shit rolls. Cassidy's super easy to deal with, honestly. Like, Cassidy is the least dangerous part about his own boss fight. Go to that one, we go there, we go there. Actually pop onto there, and yeah, why not? Why not just get rid of the evade? And Trevor Chain's not the most useful, but I mean, like, I'll take it. I'll say no. And pop out the first Tangle Cleaver. Swaps that over to Trevor Scorch, which is definitely better. It's a little bit more damage, like a little bit better. Do we get more tremor count? No, we're just gonna get rid of the tremor here. Oh well, it's still a little bit of extra wrath damage, which isn't the best. He's just neutral to wrath, but no passives? Really? That feels incorrect. But oh well, whatever. Still is incredibly easy. Cassidy is kind of a joke. In many ways. Finally has sanity, rolls like shit. Is just pathetic in general. I think Double Slash is the only one that doesn't do Tremor Scorch. Yeah. There we go. I am the Prince of the Parade. When he uses this, just go all in on defense. Honestly, I'm fine with going right to the counter. Sadly, we have no evades on this team, so he just re-heals all the way back to full. And I think, yeah, at this point he actually is a little bit stronger. It gets stored blood, which just makes him stronger. Yeah. You can see here he gets extra. He really powers up due to bleed. If you're running a bleed team, he does become quite difficult. But I mean, at this point, like, he still has some pretty low rolling skills, but gets 12 on their blood times 3 is decently strong. Yeah, rolls up to an 18 is not insignificant, so you don't want to fully ignore him, but still is pretty. He still can be fairly unthreatening. But like, his first phase is incredibly easy. Second phase, still not necessarily difficult, but again, also not very. It's not difficult, not necessarily easy either, I wouldn't say, but the bleed infliction is a little bit painful. Yeah. The Parade's Prince does roll actually quite a bit. This is probably the scariest move in his arsenal, Parade's Prince. If you get hit by that, it is very dangerous. Luckily, we should be fine. Works overall pretty solid. For bleed count on the target, Don has 1 bleed count. So let's actually switch things around a tad. Get rid of that base power gain. Triple Slash? Where is it? Will this do Tremor Scorch? It does not. Is just the skill 3. Maybe the counter? Ah, well. Thumb Sinclair would be useful, even if just for the sake of having some extra Tremor Scorch application. Never Going Back is also, again, a little bit on the tricky side, but actually that should be a little bit more. I don't know if is that fully. Yeah, rolls up to 21. Forgot that move existed. Yeah, honestly, like, Cassidy is a little bit on the trickier side, but not by a ton. And that's some nice Tremor Scorch. Ooh, and we get staggers too. I wasn't expecting the staggers, so we kind of wasted Sinclair having some very nice damage in there, but at least we have a couple Tremor Bursts coming in to get. Again, it's not much, but still a tiny bit more Tremor damage. So we'll do that. You still do have Scorch. I think gotta screw this to be a little. No, never mind. That's more attacks. And that's just more attacks there. Do we have no? No, we have no Tremor Bursts right now. Unless, fuck it, why not? I think we're actually doing less damage. 156. A little bit. It's not that different, honestly, but oh, whoops. It's next turn. Agility. would have been nice to have more bursts on here. Jesus Christ, is that 8 fragile? Oh, I didn't realize Christmas Nightmare was, I think Nightmare Greg is 1 coin, and that's what I got confused by. And Cassidy can be a little bit tricky, again, especially if you are running bleed. Just make sure you win a couple of clashes. Yeah. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts! Yes, I love your boiling human blood, but this is too painful. Yeah, I get regenerating. I wonder how many times it turned to pieces. Mental fatigue finally got to Gregor and Sinclair collapsed to the ground. The strange environment of war exchange was proving to be a significant help to the Bloodfiend's regenerative ability. Battle continued much longer than our scuffles at the K-Corp border checkpoints or our struggle with against the endless hordes of the dead at the basement of Warthog Heights. Since it all grown much stronger since then, but they were reaching a breaking point. Don Quixote continues to wildly pummel the Bloodfiend with her lance, breaking, stabbing, and crushing every time a body part regenerated. I am so hungry! Ridiculous! Thy hunger is no justification for this massacre thou hast wrought! Shut up! You don't understand! You don't know how awful it is to surviving for 200 years on a disgusting, horrible... No, I don't even want to think about it! Shut up! Be quiet! No, I'm sorry, I'll be good, please! Please! I'm just sick, there's a smell sick, please! Madame, returns you stabbing. I shan't stop until all life, flesh and bone and organ are crushed to a viscous, shapeless mush, never to become whole again. Bloodfiend's regeneration is so powerful that he's recovering as fast as Don Quixote is destroying him. My kindred, my child! I have given thee new life, invited thee to this banquet, so do thy responsibilities! The blessings of a parent must be repaid. No, what can I do? Fight their weakness, break their anger, make them kneel and grovel before me in desperation, just as you had. You got an idea. So I've been looking on wildly, surprised by Kathy's sudden command. Is that why they fight? It reminds me a lot of the way we prosthetic using fixes fight. This prosthetic fixes slowly use a sense of self-preservation that limbs become no more important than just tools to be replaced. These actions of bands that are lives to burn through. The tank fills comes wildly into battle like moths to a flame. You've got to let go of what's really important, like this little thing. With one of her remaining guards Sasha picked up, the master card key Faust showed in one of her previous cars. Don Quixote, stop her, now! Oh, my parent, I offer this gift to you! Don Quixote immediately leapt at the fixer, but one of her arms struck her away with great force. Ishmael Merceau, who had been holding Cassidy down, were no match for the strength without Don Quixote's fury. The Bloodfiend threw them both to the side and grabbed his key card. This is the key to the first-class cars, my lord. With this, grow your armies of blood bags to bring glory to the kingdom! As he examines the master key card with clear interest. The key card will trap inside the train for thousands of years until it reaches its destination. I've tried my utmost to overcome this adversity. Without access to Faust's knowledge and intelligence. However, I've lost the master keycard. The uncertainty of the circumstance has greatly exacerbated the origin of this plight. Faust took a deep breath as if she was about to take a deep dive into the source of all the trouble. Must be my over-reliance on Faust. From what I can tell, Faust has always been operating on information she received from Faust. So a situation like this, where she has to make decisions on her own, has to be unfamiliar to her. But Faust is an admirable sinner, with or without Faust. I'm thinking the same thing about myself, actually. I might have been relying too much on that perfect Faust. But even without Faust, you still give us good directions to follow after analyzing the information we brought to you. Maybe uncertainty itself doesn't always have to be a problem for us. Remember, thus the lack of a plan itself becomes the plan. You said it yourself. I see. The amount of money I have Faust that believes in uncertainty. I lost the master keycard, but one of innumerable uncertain variables in the equation. Constant, however. The Bloodfiend is just as desperate as we are. The only option for me at the present is to compromise. You there! Looks like thou art the one who has been regenerating your friends! Stop! Stop doing that, alright? Don't hit a single one of them. Or I'll smash your precious key to pieces! Manager Esquire, compromise. To cover to the villain as vile as that cur! I didn't have the time to regenerate Don Quixote's severe injuries just yet, and the rest of the server are already unconscious. The only server who could move and talk normally was Faust, whom I just rewound the clock for. Let's do that. Very well. Then, Cassidy, we'll move the conversation to a different location. Only I will accompany Dante to this negotiation. To make my intentions clear now, Dante and I will not attack you there. There's no doubt in my mind that Cassidy must be completely exhausted by the unending barrage of attacks from Don Quixote and the sinners. If I was suggesting that we move this conversation to a different place without the sinners, it must have been a sweet one. Just you two, huh? Yes, the freight car is immediately adjacent to this one. That is where we'll further discuss what we have to offer each other. That clock must be thy monarch, then, hmm? And thou art one of the retainers. Correct. Very well, so we are all in debate, then! It is only right that one of these talks to no one else but thee, who is his equal. Manager Esquire. We're back in a minute, Don Quixote. That's what the incapacitated sinners and Don Quixote, who watched on with hollow, despondent eyes as we walked away. We carefully made our way into the freight car. Why are we doing this with the freight car again? Dante, this will be my first attempt at a gamble. What? That door closed shut behind us. We are well past time, however, it also would be foolish, highly foolish, to go all the way through. I'm just going to do this right now before I forget, and so I have more time spent on that, but we shouldn't have any fights afterwards. So this passageway leads straight into Mephistopheles? This is where it all started! The stupid boss awoke me from my slumber! When this button completely filled up the freight car, we planned to start the parade so soon we'll create the kindred here. Dante. The connection has been restored. Connection? Some of this first statement briefly knocked me off my train of thought. I looked at her and cocked my own confusion, and she replied with an even quieter whisper without looking away for the Bloodfiend. Boning Mephistopheles has re-established my connection to Faust. Did you know that this would work? No. As I've stated before, this pure incalculable gamble based on my own uncertain hypothesis. The success helps me somewhat comprehend Miss Roach's fascination with gambling. A faint smile appeared on Faust's lips for a moment before fading away. Now that the connection has been reestablished, I'd like to make a complaint against the Faust and South Chef management regarding the fact that they neglected to list the information pertaining to the loss of connection within the interiors of the warp trains. However, finding a solution to this situation takes precedence. I have much reason to believe that their omission was done on purpose, but I hope such is not the case. Faust gently advanced toward the Bloodfiend. Let us discuss the details of our compromise. What are you willing to accept in return for the Master Keycard? If that was just anyone, I wouldn't have wished to turn the all into blood bags and drink every last drop of thy blood. But thou art done like a common person. I wish to maintain the secrecy of this kingdom of mine for as long as possible, and then I wish to just leave this place, right? Once I relinquish to thee this keycard, and once thou returnest to your first-class seats, we'll live here happily ever after like nothing happened. And when the train gets there, you get off the train. Everything goes back to the way they were supposed to be. How's that for a deal? Like nothing happened. Faust, what about the job we were contracted to do in the first place? I remember that any sign of battle will be entirely based upon our arrival. We have no way to relay our news, whether upon success or failure. If we have the means to defeat them, then at least every corp will inform us that our contract was successful after the fact. However, this current scenario will leave us with nothing to show for, not even the smallest hint, and the contract will end in failure. However, what takes precedence over the contract is you and the sinner's psychological stability. Now, we've always been successful, so I have something I can live with, but what about the other passengers of this train, its future passengers? Remember the look on Don Quixote's face whenever we would come across these inevitable forms of injustice. Faust does not reply. Yet, the lack of reply was a reply on its own. Are we gonna have to let them die? Innocent lives will be lost, but we cannot prioritize their lives over our safety. That must be Faust's and the company's policy. And yet, I shan't allow this. Don Quixote? I thought her wounds were too severe for her to even crawl, let alone walk, but with sheer will she pushed herself through the pain to reach the freight car. I will not tolerate this. We cannot let this vile wretch live and turn a blind eye to everything he's done. It's her again! What? You want to stay in what is essentially eternity within this train? I know the truth! Everything hinges on this key, doesn't it? As soon as I break this in half, you have to spend the eons inside this. I cannot. I would welcome the eons, should it means eons of penance for thee. 'Tis much preferable to let thy villainy go unanswered. Let this place be the site of thy eternal judgment. Faust and I grabbed Don Quixote. She knew I'd be strong enough to wriggle free of our grips, but she'd already pushed herself beyond the limits merely by walking here. Faust, unhand me! Thou mustn't let him live, Manager Esquire! Don Quixote, letting him destroy the key would mean that you'll be condemning the sinners to thousands of years of torment. And I shall. Fill the millennium with the tales of legends that I've read in the magazines. No time, however infinite, shall be too great to overcome should we endeavor as one. Certainly you're aware that yes, there's no solution at all, Don Quixote. Then there has to be another way, no? Thou art both possessors of great wisdom. Faust, Manager Esquire, is there truly no path in which we might bring justice for the villain, and the sinners remain unharmed? Her struggle begins to wane. But this was no acceptance. This was dejection. Don Quixote, no! In the commotion, we failed to notice that the Bloodfiend had been quietly advancing us. We let Don Quixote had to go at the last second, but we were a second too late. My dearest parent, forgive my transgression of creating another without thy sanction! Thou shalt become my next kindred! Cassidy screams incoherently as he leaps onto Don Quixote, piercing her neck with his fangs before we even had the chance to do anything. I did not expect this to be the solution. Faust? What do you mean the solution? According to this information I had viewed in the past, and once again just now, it's... Dante, take cover behind me and remain absolutely still. And please, do note that the other sinners must never hear a word of what is about to happen. Oh. Don Quixote levitates slightly into the air, strings on her shoes unraveling as they slip off her feet on their own. She looks on with bewilderment as her running shoes fall to the floor. And... I'm not going to voice the scream. Rocinante! I've always had this question swirling at the unfocused backstage of my mind. Why are you always so protective of those running shoes, Don Quixote? Running shoes? Ah! Dost thou speak of our dear Rocinante? Yeah, those. I have battled through thick and thin, feast and famine with dear Rocinante, in sorrow and in joy, no matter the brutality of the trials that have struck me, and have been a loyal steed by my side, for however long it hath been in existence. She doesn't know when she got there. Manager Esquire, whether hast thou that solution for Rocinante as well? This may be a rather auspicious occasion to do so. I think I'm good. Be not so bashful, go on ahead! Like Stinky. Smell goes to drink tiki-talk with Stinky. Stinky they are not, skillful they might appear. Rocinante is in pristine condition, although thou shalt not address me a small girl. Evacuate, evacuate. Don Quixote, don't tell me you go to sleep when there's running Rocinante. I have always been quite certain that someone so esteemed as the Manager Esquire would care to ask me how Rocinante fares. I didn't mention that this question was inspired by numerous eyewitness reports from other sinners who saw her wandering the halls in her pajamas and wearing Rocinante. Verily, Rocinante and I remain bound together, even in slumber. There shall be no separating the two of us. We are bound not by need or want, we are simply bound together through our plight and delight. Now I think about it, every single identity of Don Quixote was also wearing those running shoes. Rocinante. Ever take them off? Take them off? Fine, whatever dost thou mean? As in, detach Rocinante from my body? 'Tis a vile insinuation thou makest. She looks at me with puzzled eyes, as though taking those pair of running shoes off was somehow an inconceivable idea. They were something much more than just her favorite pair of running shoes. Her odd attitude of treating something so far removed from common sense as something completely ordinary. What does Rocinante mean to Don Quixote? What even is that thing? An overwhelmingly powerful pressure suddenly explodes, radiating in all directions. As a metallic stench of blood suffocates the bus, filling every corner of it with its sickening horror. Then, darkness. No, that's impossible! In all-absorbing darkness, voice is our only light. You are the second kindred! How did you... I should have felt your presence! I do think I saw the faint outline of an aura. I see a red aura, a long fur adornment of sorts. With the shimmering aura I think I saw red eyes. You've committed the sin of filial impiety, transgression. I know that voice, but I also don't. I've never heard in such a low, imposing tone before. It speaks toward the lesser being. The Bloodfiend, shriveled and kneeling, trembling, pathetic. Mercy! Mercy, O virgin ancestor! I beg for the mercy of the second kindred! I beg for the mercy of the second kindred! I beg! Insolent words. Crimson droplets of blood slowly rise around the Bloodfiend's mouth before congealing and sealing his mouth shut. No language worming its way out of your maw shall be worth my ears. No. To commit the sin of filial impiety by attempting to travel against the bloodstream, to commit such an abomination against your ancestor, I cannot well sanction your impudence of continued existence. Coagulate, then melt away. Cassidy's body begins liquefying into a slick stream of blood, his form curdling and crumbling, and dripping to the ground. Rapidly yet ponderously, that ice cream Don Quixote loved so much, melting away on the floor heated into the searing sun. You. Don Quixote turned to look at me, who was still on the ground after being thrown by the shockwave. With a cryptic look of pity, she uttered something. Indeed, you must be the trauma's timepiece. Something I couldn't quite understand. Rocinante, to me. Rocinante, I beseech you. I carefully reached out, grabbed her shoes, and slipped them on to her bare feet, one by one. One day. She gasped, stumbled, and slumped to the ground. People fucking lost their shit when first seeing that, me included. Cause like, what the actual fuck? Sometime later, somebody explain what just happened in a way that makes sense. I knew that the sinners would all be shocked and confused. After all, when they, including Faust and Don Quixote, all came back to life after a rewind the clock, all that remained was the destroyed door to the freight car and the disgusting, obliterated remains of what was once Cassidy. Most personnel lost their consciousness from the mental stress of prolonged battle against the Bloodfiend. Whatever measure was that the man tried to take, it can be said that it was appropriate. I guess so. Good work, everyone. However, an official most personnel excludes 3 individuals. Therefore, it would be most appropriate to direct any questions to them. Wait. Who are those 3? Faust. The manager. Don Quixote, who was still unconscious. Really? The 3 of you? You're spot on. When you have time to notice that, oh boy. I've identified 3 conscious individuals by analyzing their walking cadence and voices, once for my loss of consciousness. So what's going on with the lass? I saw it go. She was in a state of deep slumber. As she is now at risk of death, she'll be waking up soon. I remember everything, of course. Don Quixote's sudden transformation, how she practically erased the Bloodfiend's kindred from the world without even moving a finger. But I also remember Faust's last words. Do note that the other sinners must never hear a word of what is about to happen. Don Quixote was unconscious, and Faust was answering every question with silence. It was only natural that their eyes would all fall on me. That's, reminds me. Where's the key card? Last I remember, it was in Cassidy's hands. In a far more presentable state than he was in before. So, what about the key card he was holding, though? It's been half liquefied. The veins have melted with his finger bones. Appears to have become one with the middle phalanges. Wait. Oh. Well, calm down! Calm down! I said calm down! I should have packed more cigarettes, huh? How about we force one of these doors open? The master keycard is not an absolutely necessary element to resolving the situation. Oh! It'll require approximately 5 hours to formulate and proceed with an explanation in a manner that will allow the sinners to fully comprehend exactly how the methodology. Therefore, it will be delivered to you in a more digestible, summarized format. Short-lived, she's acting all smug again. Making us the back door of Mephistopheles. His silly confidence in her declaration was more than enough to win us all over. So we headed to the corridor, past the back door, Don Quixote slung over one of our shoulders, and arrived at our destination. I can't not ask what happened after seeing the state you all are in. Sandy pitter, sandy patter. Grains of sand and seashell-like things fell with every step the sinners took. Ask someone after me to explain it. Grains of sand roll about in my throat with every word spoken. Faust explained the simpler gist of this plan as we made our way to the back door. Put simply, we will spend the time in a space disconnected from the train. The train should be arriving at its destination in approximately 10 seconds going by the A-Corp timescale. All we must do is remain somewhere in our original dimension for that duration. And with that, Faust came to a sudden stop in the middle of one of the corridors. Wait, are you seriously going to open that door? Too many doors, are you sure that's the right one? Yes, this is the correct door. Its safety is completely ensured. Last, please tell us what's past that door. I did not bother verifying that particular information myself. It is necessary for future endeavors that I gain the experience of encountering something completely unexpected. Well, oh wait! Faust did not wait for Heathcliff to finish his sentence before jerking the door wide open. Please enter through this door. With Faust's stern command, we quickly walked to a building that looked like a derelict abandoned hospital of sorts. Then we walked in the middle of a sandstorm. Am I supposed to be indoors? How does this even happen? Get open my eyes! Sound. Is this sandstorm blowing inside a building? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Sinners blurted out colorful series of complaints, trying to cover themselves in a blasting sandstorm, but Faust continued to count in that same indifferent rhythm before dragging us out of there just as urgently she has herded us in. So, we managed to return safe and sound to the interiors of the warp train platform as arrived at the P-Corp platforms. As trainers getting cleaned up, that is. And with our bodies completely covered in sand. I thought we'd never make it. You guys okay? How are these passages? I'm so happy to be done with this whole ordeal. Even the W-Corp cleanup agents in the middle of a cleanup mission looked downright hospitable. We're employees of Limbus Company. We boarded the warp train at the behest of your employer. Aye, so you're the people that Captain told us about. Let's keep your memories, huh? Ah, that reminds me. One of the employees makes things out the hibernation pod over there. Huh? What was the action for? Thanks, let me go check. The compartment behind the chair that the cleanup agent crawled into. That it was. Anyone here? Anyone looking at the wrong pod? This is the correct spot. That's what the individual who has entered the pod was. These folks aren't alright in the head either. You guys just mistaken? Doubt that. This is some for a momentary collective hallucination caused by fatigue. Very well then, you'll see yourselves out. Faust cut the conversation short before the other slayers began asking too many questions. Now they became intimately familiar with the meaning of that gesture, I followed her to the outside without another word. Alright, have we arrived? On shot, lass. Had enough nap yet? I see. Look at the instance of the incident. I'll hear the details of the incident on the bus once we're traveling again. Understood. Any and all relevant reports will be sent to the arbiter via LCCA, and Vergilius was already there when we arrived, sharing conversation with Faust about what went down inside the train with a serious expression. I'll now leave with Kara and watch them unfasten Mephistopheles from the train. The been in hand on the manager's head seems to be desperately signaling to me that I have a lot of burning questions to ask you. Allow me to give you two some space. I was finally able to speak to Faust once Vergilius left. Why did you do that? Faust's body was quite literally blasted to pieces from the sheer explosive pressure that filled the room the moment Don Quixote's shoes came off. Imagine your feet smell so bad you fucking gib people. It's as though she knew it was about to happen. Because it was the preferable course of action to having the same explosive demise occur to your body instead. I do find it regrettable that you made to turn the clock despite my knowledge of the high likelihood of my death upon that occurrence. I'm not blaming you for that. I just want to know how long you've known that Don Quixote is... That is something I've been aware of since the LCB was first established. This thing beside Vergilius. Of course. However, it was by the will of the LCA superiors that this knowledge remains withheld from the manager until the appropriate moment. That appropriate moment was back there? According to my private judgment, yes. My connections to all communications, including ones of Faust, had been severed. I was not in a position to receive the headquarters authorization for that action. Right. Well, the truth may remain obscured still. We are once again returned. Returned. That's a layered word. We've returned to one of the warp platforms in our own dimension, and we've returned to our daily lives of speculating about what's next in our path, and the usual Faust, reconnected to Faust, has returned. Yes. Faust replied to Yisang's nebulous wording with quiet affirmation. Please, do not take this query with any more important than a mere jest, however. You suppose I shall see her again? She shot a puzzled look at Yisang. In a way, it was quite the pleasant encounter, was it not? Yisang mused ambiguously before leaving us. The incident at the warp train was such a chaotic mess that it felt shorter than it really was, but I also learned so much about so many things. But it was too soon to start racking our brains about what kind of nonsense trial we were about to face with P-Corp, so I decided to enjoy this momentary peace. How do we find ourselves at P-Corp? Wherefore is my throat so parched? Too tired to explain. Chiquita, you missed out big time on a crazy adventure. Ah! I read the last few grains of sand out of my ear. Similar to Don Quixote's bewildered awakening, grinning. There's no knowing what we'll be facing here at District 16, where P-Corp is located, but we got this, right? The same faith I saw in the Faust who believes in uncertainty rises within me, too. I looked up to Faust. You see the Faust was looking at me as well. She nodded with her usual, barely noticeable smile, and I gave her a light nod back in return. Time to go find ourselves another golden bough. In terms of, like, sheer dramatic factor, Warp Express is easily the best Intervallo. Like, it does it with just 6529 itself. 6529, probably one of the cooler story things in the entire game. It's just fucking based, you know? But that will do it for this time, and next time we will be starting off Canto 7. But until then, We'll probably be doing the Name of Violet first. But until then, see you guys later.